Welcome into the Solo Shot Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Dom Manna. Happy Solo Shot Saturday, everyone. And while baseball was technically back with the Soul Series, baseball is officially back with a slate of opening day games on Thursday and a couple on Friday. They got postponed, so every team has now played a game, and it is truly the most wonderful time of the year. I do think that Major League Baseball did botch opening day in terms of marketing. I don't think that they really advertised it enough, and I don't think the slate of games was necessarily a opening day of sorts. The majority of the games happened in the evening, but nonetheless, I was so excited to be following the baseball games, having notifications on my phone of games that actually count, and having all the overreactions and in the positive and the negative direction. As you can see below me, the Solo Shot swag tracker is reset. We are currently at 33. There was none during the Soul Series, but there were a good amount in the first 2 days, and I will continue to count every Solo Shot home run hit in the big leagues this season. I'll tell you more about the end, about how we'll be covering that this year as opposed to last year. I did the AL show last week, and I had a lot of NL news come across the screen that I wanted to touch on, but I decided to hold it off. So it's time to catch up here. And yes, I did that spelling just because, put a little mustard on it here. But I believe that the NL news, the number one news that everyone wants to talk about, and it's honestly been overblown, is Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter Ipe allegedly getting caught up with a bookie. Shohei Ohtani came out and made a statement, and he put himself in a position where if he's not telling the truth, he can get in some legal trouble. So I'm just not going to comment until there is further updates with the investigation. I think if everything that is being said is true and Ipe actually did commit a massive theft against Shohei, a guy that he was there for in his transition over to the United States and now through 2 teams, I would just feel super heartbroken for Shohei. He is an aloof guy. He is very secretive in his personal life. A lot of people didn't even know he had a girlfriend, and then he announced he was married. A lot of people didn't know where he was going, and then he posted on Instagram that he's a Dodger. Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn, and we are blessed to watch him play. I know that a lot of people were going scorched earth and comparing him to Pete Rose, but none of the reports talk about betting on baseball. And none of the reports say that Shohei was the one gambling. We'll just have to wait and see. But the more baseball-related news, Jordan Montgomery finally signed a contract, and he signed with the Snakes. The Arizona Diamondbacks signed Jordan Montgomery to basically a 1-year, $25 million deal. But if he makes 10 starts, there's a vesting option for a second year at $25 million. He did not get the money everyone was expecting him to, but he will contribute to the Snakes this season, who have gotten off to a really nice start. Blake Snell signed with the San Francisco Giants. I called that from the very beginning of the offseason, and I talked about it during my NL prediction show a couple weeks ago, that part of the reason I picked the Padres to finish ahead of the Giants is because the Giants were dumb and didn't sign Blake Snell because it made too much damn sense. Blake Snell now gets to reunite with his manager from last season, Bob Melvin, in a division that he just learned to pitch against and dominated on his route to a Cy Young Award last season, in a pitcher's ballpark, on a team that only has one legit starting pitcher. Who would have thought that's a good place for him to sign? I did. I'm glad that he finally locked up there. It makes the offseason of the NL West official. You could argue 4 of the top 5 off seasons were in that division. At least 3 of them are. All the teams added a legit pitcher and bats, and it is absolutely awesome to see a division of teams that actually wants to win. It is refreshing as hell. And finally, with the catch up, the Soul series, I didn't really touch on it during the show. The most common outcome of a 2-game series is a split. That's kind of what I was expecting. And there was a split, not just in Jake Cronenworth's glove, but with the series. Game 1, the Dodgers offense came all the way back because of that Cronenworth glove snafu, and they won Game 1. And then Yoshinobu Yamamoto, in his first major league start, got kind of wrecked, did not finish out of 1 inning and 5 earned runs, and everyone's overreacting to that. So now that we are caught up with the few storylines that I didn't get to talk about on the AL program last week, let's get into just the overall overreactions, and we'll stay with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He's going to be fine. I understand that I picked Shota Imanaga to be my National League Rookie of the Year over him, and I do think that in terms of value, he's going to be a better value than Yamamoto is, being the highest paid pitcher in history versus what I think is actually a very fair contract for a number 2 or 3 starter. But Yamamoto is going to adjust. He's going to be fine. I don't think that this is going to be the telltale sign of things to come for Yamamoto. He was learning how to pitch with the different American ball. He had to kind of rush everything and get ready a week earlier. Give him a couple months. And if he's getting rocked every single time he goes out there, then we're going to have some discussions about what he really needs to adjust. But in terms of Eno Sarris's metric stuff plus, he was the number 2 pitcher in the entire World Baseball Classic last spring, and he's 25 years old, is one of the best pitchers to ever come out of Japan. I'm just going to trust what we know about this guy, what we know about the Dodger magic, and I think Yamamoto is going to be fine. He might not win the Cy Young year 1 like a lot of people have decided to pick him for, but he's going to produce in that Dodgers rotation, especially with the amount of run support this Dodgers offense is able to give pitchers. Getting off the Dodgers, because it's been awesome seeing Mookie Betts swinging the bat. 2 of those 33 solo shots are Mookie Betts, and he has 3 home runs this season. They're playing against the Cardinals to start the season officially. And the Cardinals, while I do think are going to be improved this year, I had them going from last place to 3rd. I don't think that they're going to be a serious contender. And they showed very quickly that they can't really hang with the Dodgers, which is no slight. There's not a ton of teams that can. But the Cardinals got a little washed there, and they're pitching as great as they think it can be in terms of eating innings. I do think that the Cardinals, a lot of people picked Ali Marmol to win Manager of the Year, picked the Cardinals to bounce back and win the division. I don't think that's going to happen, and I think that we're seeing right now what happens when they face a legit team. I think it would be the same story if they were playing a team like the Braves or the O's. The same kind of thing would happen to them. The NL West, though, like I said, the Giants and the Padres, much improved, both going to be in the playoff picture. And now that the Giants got Snell, I'm kind of right on the edge there on which one of those teams is going to get the final NL wildcard, Giants or Padres. I still will stick with my guns for now of the Padres making it there because their metrics last season with a similar core were better. But the Arizona Diamondbacks, a team that I was giving their flowers all offseason about how great their offseason was. I understand they're going into the season hurt. Corbin Carroll has some shoulder issue going on. Eduardo Rodriguez and Paul Sewald are starting on the IL. And now Jordan Montgomery has to wait to ramp up and get back. But this team scored 16 runs on opening day. 14 in one frame, which is the most runs scored in an inning on opening day since 1900. I don't care if it's the Rockies, who I talked about. They're in the running for the worst team in baseball, and it's looking like they might try to seal that title early on this season. the Colorado Rockies are still a baseball team, and the Diamondbacks not only took care of business on game 1, but they won by multiple runs in game 2 as well on Friday night. This Diamondbacks team legitimately has a chance to be the third best team in the National League. I know a lot of people thought the Phillies were the safe bet for that, and I'm not saying the Phillies still can't be the third best team in the National League, but the Arizona Diamondbacks have the talent to be right there, and I think that a lot of people have them right there with the Padres and the Giants. I think they've done enough to separate themselves both this offseason and from what we saw from them last year to give them that kind of step up in terms of team quality. Outside of the NL West, the Braves, Spencer Strider, my National League Cy Young pick, he didn't pitch his best, but the takeaway that I have from Spencer Strider's start is that I was wise to pick him as my Cy Young pick, and I'll tell you why. That curveball that he has developed, that he has added to his arsenal, is a legitimate pitch. It has a ridiculous amount of drop. It is straight up nasty. And this is a guy who was racking up damn near 300 Ks with 2 pitches. You give him a legitimate third pitch, and batters can't guess 50-50 what's coming. It's going to be a big issue for hitters going on. I don't care that he gave up a 2-run jack to Brandon Marsh. Those kind of things happen. Spencer Strider stays healthy. He is your National League Cy Young winner, and I think he's going to run away with it. And the NL Central, there were 2 extra inning games on opening day, both with NL Central teams, the Pirates and the Cubs. Free baseball is always a good thing. And I think I might have underrated the Pirates a little bit, and I think I might have overrated the Cubs a little bit. This division might end up being a lot closer than we think. That's kind of my overreaction right now, is I thought the Cubs would be able to win the division, not like handedly, but by a few games. And now I'm looking at it, and the Cubs had a real test against the Rangers, and they've done all right so far. Justin Steele getting hurt early on is not a good sign. I hope he's going to be okay. But I think this NL Central is just a bunch of dogs. Even the Cardinals, who I think are improved. The Reds are a lot of people's sleeper team. The Brewers are a post-hype team. Jackson Chourio looks like the next coming of a Julio Rodriguez, Ronald Acuna type player in terms of the electric factor. In his debut, he was fantastic against the Mets. This division, top to bottom, I don't think there's going to be a 90-win team, but they're all going to be in that 75 to 85 range, I think. And that's exciting for that division, division that doesn't have a ton of big markets, but a division that is going to be fun nonetheless. O'Neal Cruz is slowly turning into one of my favorite players in the major leagues. He is an absolute monster, and the Pirates are 2-0. And a big part is O'Neal Cruz's contributions. He has been very, very good thus far. Over in the American League, we had the 2 best starts of opening day. 6 innings, 11 Ks by Corbin Burns, who was a lot of people's popular pick as the American League Cy Young winner. Did it against the Angels, gave a solo home run to Mike Trout. First solo home run of the year, got me really pumped. But Corbin Burns, if he's healthy, he's going to be a legit ace, and that is as advertised. That's what the O's paid up for, and I'm excited to see him, what he can add to that Orioles ceiling. But the other one was Shane Driveline Bieber. Yes, Shane Bieber went to Driveline this winter and wanted to get an uptick in velocity because his velocity had went down in each of the last 3 seasons. And while he's not back up to his prime, he is throwing harder than he has in the last 2 years. And that is exciting because Shane Bieber, that 2020 Mickey Mouse shortened season, was Randy Johnson level dominant. And seeing him, even against a team like the Athletics, have swing and miss stuff on all of his pitches, velocity up, 11 Ks, 6 innings pitched, 0 earned runs. Shane Bieber might get some Cy Young votes this year. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but Shane Bieber, exciting for the Guardians, whether he helps them win the division or he helps them get a huge haul for an improved Shane Bieber later this season at the trade deadline. Shane Bieber is a name to watch, and I think he's going to be fantastic. And I want to shout out to Garrett Crochet of the Chicago White Sox. I don't think there's going to be many reasons to watch the White Sox this year. Luis Robert, can he bounce back and be that superstar? First couple of games hasn't been a huge difference maker. But Garrett Crochet, 9th pitcher in Major League Baseball history to start his first Major League game on opening day, because he had previously been a reliever in his last 72 appearances. 6 innings, 1 earned run, 8 Ks. That's a quality start and a half. He got the loss because it was a 1-0 game. Tigers won. But Garrett Crochet, with the stuff that he has and the fact that his control has seemed to gotten better, only 2 walks, has the chance to be a building block and a bright spot for the White Sox this season. So I'm very excited for Garrett Crochet. I think he was a really awesome waiver wire pickup for the season. As soon as he was announced as the opening day starter, and we know as fantasy baseball guys that this was a short week, getting to put him in your relief pitcher spot with the opportunity throughout the season for him to get that SPARP eligibility. He's going to get the opportunity to start. I don't think that they're going to just stop pitching him in the rotation in week 3. He got the nod on opening day, and he's going to be very fun to watch. He has nasty stuff, and I think he has the potential to possibly be, everyone's comparing him to Chris Sale, who started his career in the bullpen for the White Sox, got an opportunity to start, and just started striking out everybody and being a true top-of-the-line arm. So Garrett Crochet, name to watch on a very bad White Sox team, and it's definitely really exciting. I appreciate all of you that are joining me in the chat this morning. It's really awesome. Here at the Solo Shot Sports Podcast, we'd like to throw it back down the third base line to a moment in baseball history. And today, March 30th, is actually the first overlap we've had, because we are now celebrating a year here on the YouTube channel, opening day to opening day. And March 30th was actually my first episode here on the YouTube channel. So I didn't double dip on the same topic that I talked about, but there were a few other interesting ones. And if you look at the display below me, you'll understand why I picked one of these things. But on this date in 1991, the Chicago Cubs acquired outfielder Sammy Sosa. Sammy Sosa had 29 career home runs in 4 seasons with Texas and the White Sox when the Cubs acquired him. In his first season with the Cubs, he had 8 home runs. He was hurt. After that, 33, 25, 36, 40, 36, 66, 63, 50, 64, 49, 40. I know he was likely juicing, but I don't care. There was nobody outside of Barry Bonds that was hitting home runs like that. Absolutely unbelievable. He finished his career with 609 career home runs. And Sammy Sosa doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion, in the history of baseball because of that 98 season chasing Maris's record. McGuire got there first. But Sammy Sosa was an electric player. He was a showman and a guy who, I think, because of the steroid scandals and because of his off the field persona, doesn't get looked at in the history of the game at the level that he should be appreciated, especially doing so much for a blue collar franchise like the Chicago Cubs. Sammy Sosa, love him or hate him, one of the better acquisitions in Cubs history. on this date in 1991. And I'm just so floored that Sammy Sosa and Barry Bonds and all these guys who they might have done steroids. It's actually likely that they did steroids, but they were doing it in an era where it was not outlawed, where there were no suspensions handed out, where they did not test positive and get punished for breaking any written rules. And Bud Selig, the commissioner of baseball at the time, who knew what was going on, got ushered into the Hall of Fame, and all these guys are now just trifling on an era committee ballot with very little support. So Sammy Sosa, you get some flowers here, even though you haven't gotten some flowers from the Hall of Fame. Sammy Sosa acquired by the Cubs on this date. Now, the Solo Shot Swag tracker it's a personal love of mine. I will be releasing the TikToks right after this recording. So if you're a TikTok guy, go follow the page at Solo Shot Sports on TikTok, and I'll be doing daily updates there on how many solo shots were hit each day and highlight one of them. But I will also be trying to tweet every single solo shot home run hit this season. Now, I have a job, I have a life. I'm not going to be able to live tweet every single solo shot home run. I've been late to a few of them already, but I will do my backtracking and get it done. Last year, there were over 3,300 solo shot home runs hit in the big leagues. And I know that's a lot of tweets. That's a lot of finding video, but growing the brand and just leaning into it, I think that's the thing that I need to do more of. I highlighted some on my Twitter last year, but you can go follow me on Twitter at DominicMana44, and I will be tweeting out every solo shot home run hit in the big leagues this season. That's a goal of me, and I'm very excited for the TikTok viewers, for the Twitter viewers, and for those of you that just want to see the number on this tracker below me keep going up each week to tune into that. It's a very big calling card for the show, and I think that solo shot home runs are extremely overlooked in the grand scheme of baseball. Of course, you'd like to have runners on and get multiple runs, but solo home runs end up being the difference in so many games, whether it be J.P. Crawford putting a dagger in a pitcher's duel against my Red Sox last night, or tying the game in the bottom of the ninth inning to send it to extras where your team ends up winning. Just some examples of the 33 solo shots that have been hit so far this season. Scott, Hugo, Orlando, everybody who joined me this morning, I appreciate you more than you know. For those of you that listen to it during this week, baseball is back. Listen to it on the radio, watch it on the TV, go to a ball game if you get a chance, and just soak it in. It is truly the greatest time of the year for America's pastime. Every team is still in the race, even the ones that don't want to be. I appreciate each and every one of you for checking this out, and I will be back next Solo Shot Saturday. Peace.